And that's what this is about. It's about giving something back. It's about helping people out. Now, I didn't tell you how this story started, now that we cleared that I have no personal motivation. I have none. I'm sitting reading my coffee one day, and like you, I read about, over the last 4 years, a 38% tax hike in the county. And then I just read this year about a 42% tax hike. Now, I'm not a math major, but that's about 80% or plus 80% in the last 5 years in this county. And what do they come up with as a solution? Make themselves more powerful. That's the solution. Because if any of you think changing a couple of row offices like that are paper offices like Recorder of Deeds or Register of Wills, yeah, that's going to save $500,000 a year. In a budget the size of Lackawanna County, that does absolutely nothing. But that was the scam, you see. It was a sting operation. They used that as the guise to do what? Guess what? We're going to do away and consolidate with these elective offices, but they're not going to go away, you understand. You need people, and you need a lot of people to run those offices, like sheriff, for example. Well, they're going to appoint them. How nice for them. How great for them, the world that they live in. Here's the 42% tax hike, and you know what? We're going to consolidate government for you so that we get 400 more job appointments that we get to make. What's this, a dictatorship?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Well, guess what? There's a time when people have a right and the ability to stand up. And under the leadership of key people like yourselves in this room, we are going to help those people that can't help themselves. We're going to give people a chance to do the right thing and make history. But on with the story. So I'm drinking my coffee, I almost spit it out. I said, what? This is a scam. It's a power grab. That's all this is. They already have the executive and legislative branches locked up. Now they want to impinge and leverage the judiciary because, as, of course, Rob Mazzoni knows and as Nikki DeSanto knows, that's who protect the judges. That's who protect us from dangerous criminals, protect our court system. They're now going to control that too. How nice. Now you got the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. You do remember in our Constitution from grade school, our founders tried to separate government, right, for checks and balances? Well, not according to them, apparently. They're going to take it all under their umbrella, under their branch. It was offensive and it was wrong. So I decided, guess what? With the help of Frank doing a lot of the research and the legal work, with some help from me too, for some guidance, we found out and researched what the laws were. I'd also like to point out another gentleman that's here tonight that needs recognition. Attorney Bill Jones is here tonight. His assistance to Frank and myself was invaluable as well. He knows a lot about election law, and he also explained to me how this could be done. And once I did the math and figured out what the goal was, I thought, this can be done. So I made my announcement, and it ended up on the front page, and you read the story. Because you know what? As I said in that article, and excuse me for repeating it here, you know what? I'm an old-fashioned kind of guy and was raised by old-fashioned parents. They always told me a couple things. One is that you lead by example, and further, before you ask anybody else to make any sacrifice, you better be willing to do it yourself. Not them. They graciously volunteered to have other elected officials disappear under their appointment. I didn't see anything about them doing anything to cut back. If anything, their whole plan is to expand the commissioner's office. They're going to need all 6 floors of the county building now. The 3 they have isn't enough.
Yeah.
And you know what? I have some very good friends in Western Pennsylvania. Rich Fitzgerald, county executive from Pittsburgh. Dan Adirado, former county executive from Pittsburgh. That's Allegheny County, where they were county executives of. Dan Adirado, you may remember, just ran for governor of Pennsylvania. And actually won the Democratic primary before losing to Corbin. I wonder if the people would want that vote over again. But beside that, that system works. They're close personal friends of mine. They saved millions and millions of dollars. They streamlined government. They made it more efficient. They have a county council that's part-time, but that serves as a check and balance on the executive branch, which is what it's supposed to do. But they get things done, they're more efficient, and we have one president of the United States, not 3. We have one governor of Pennsylvania, not 3. We have not 3 mayors, 1 in mayor forms of government. The executive branch was intended to be a person, man or woman, and it was supposed to be elected by the people. And under our plan, you will elect the county executive, and we will have county council representation throughout Lackawanna County so that all parts of the county are heard from, which, as you all know, doesn't happen right now. But I digress. Let me go forward with the story. So that hits the papers and it's all good. Well, guess what happens then? Not one, not two, but 3 different people, and I don't mention names, that's not how I do it, approached me with the deal. What do you need? What's Chuck Volpe want to go away? What jobs? Contracts? Whatever. We'll take sheriff off the ballot. What does he need to go away? They've been doing that. That's been going on for centuries. I can remember distinctly one of my favorite scenes, if you saw the movie Braveheart. Many of you happen to see that movie, won the Academy Award, '95 for Best Picture. Mel Gibson. You remember the part where the Scots, of course, were under English rule and had no freedoms and were persecuted, and he led them in a rebellion against the English king. And after he pretty much wiped out the entire northern English army, he invaded into Lower England through York. And that's about the time the King of England said, well, he's been a real pain in the ass, William Wallace. And you know what? We're going to dispatch the Princess of Wales, and you saw the movie, to go and see him under a banner of truce, which they did. And you remember what the Queen said? The Princess said, I have estates and titles in Scotland and in England, plus this chest of gold I'm to deliver to you personally. And of course, Mel Gibson, the character actor, but William Wallace said, so I should become Judas? And she said, if you remember the movie, peace is made in such ways. And he said, no, slaves are made in such ways. People have been bought and paid for, which is why nothing gets done in this county for 100 years. So guess what? No, not interested. It was never about me. It was never about a power grab, and I don't want to be a county executive. It's about you and them. That's why we're doing this, because it has to stop. The backroom deals, the smoke-filled room if you read the paper, the end runs, the intimidation, the threats. Okay, so the story goes on. Again, I digress. Now, after that ploy failed, guess what they come up with? They finally read the law. Frank's been 3 steps ahead of them the whole way, and Todd Johns, and Pat. But guess what? They finally read the law, and here's what it said. It said that if we didn't have 1/3 of our signatures filed with the statutory notice of our referendum question, if they had had their second reading before we did that, all of us, we wouldn't even be here tonight. There would be no legal issue. We'd be dead. It would be over. It would be done. And we found out what the law was. And again, I have to say, again, our government is employing lawyers we pay for to beat us. That's how it works, huh? So they came up with a backdoor scam. Guess what they did? They have a published meeting, posted. Scranton Times ran the ad, February 13th. But guess what happened? When you showed up at Joyce's last week, and there were 120 there, they thought, Jesus, excuse me, excuse me. You know what? They might just do this. I can't believe it's happening. Well, what do we do? You know what they came up with? Guess what? We are going to have an emergency meeting, and we're going to whisper it so nobody hears it. Now let me tell you how bad it is. And again, I'm not mentioning any names. The way it works is they have to give 24-hour legal notice on a business day to change a meeting and to advertise it. The quickest they could do that was 9 a.m. Monday morning to have a meeting Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. But see, there's another little catch. The elected office holders, county elected office, row office holders, have to be given notice of a change even before the notice goes in the paper. So guess what they did? It's an amazing story. They didn't have this in the paper. Guess what they did? At 4:20 on Friday afternoon, they started calling around to the various county offices. You know what time the county courthouse closed, folks? 4 o'clock. They didn't expect anybody to be there. They didn't want anybody to hear about it. But one person who had actually left his office, forgot something and came back, happened to be there and picked up the phone. And you know what? They had to give him the message. We're changing our meeting. Why? Oh, well, they didn't give really even an answer. They're changing the meeting. He calls Tommy Galella. Tommy Galella calls me, I call Frank Ruggiero, and guess what? We caught them with their pants down. But I said, Frank, so what if they change the meeting? Maybe this is not much ado about nothing. Let's check the law, see what the law says. Calls me back Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock. You've heard that time before. You know what? He said, Chuck, got a problem. What do you mean? Once they have their second reading, their referendum, at that point, even though there's a waiting period, it takes on the legal significance that it would knock us out. I said, well, what are our options? What do we have to do? We have to file 1/3 of our signatures with the statutory notice before their meeting. I said, 1/3 of our signatures, that's 12 or 1,300 signatures. This is Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock. I said, how do we beat them? How do we get this done by Monday afternoon? We have no option. They were in Frank's office Saturday. The word went out to you folks, and you showed what a working democracy with people who care can do. In less than 48 hours, as we said, 2,700 signatures. But the story doesn't end there. Not even close. They tried to lie, they tried to cheat, they intimidated, they threatened jobs, they moved up a sneak meeting, and they still couldn't beat us. Maybe the will of the people, someone upstairs is helping us, and send somebody back into their office Friday afternoon. Maybe enough is really enough, and for once, we're getting help. But then that wasn't the end of the story. We go over there with 2,760 signatures. Guess what? They wouldn't take them. In violation of the United States Constitution, the Pennsylvania Constitution, the Pennsylvania Election Code, and Lackawanna County Home Rule Code. Wouldn't take them. Then they finally agreed, under Todd's persistence, and accept conditional on them. Never been done in the history of America. There are 67 counties in Pennsylvania. There are thousands, tens of thousands in America. It's never been done in one but here, that they accept a conditional stamp on your petition signatures. What is this about? This is our government keeping the people of our government from filing petitions in a true democracy. That's not a democracy anymore when the government can stop you and send their lawyers down to stop you. That's how serious this is, folks. That's how serious this is. And let me tell you something. You now know the story, what happened. If I've hopefully invigorated you, that's my goal. If I've angered you, that's my goal. Because you should be angry. Our tax dollars are being used to stop the people again so that they can make government bigger and more expensive while they're raising your taxes. Great plan. It's offensive. That's why we're involved. So, we go forward from here. We're going to kick their butt in court. Kick their butt because the law is on our side. Because we filed first, we win that argument. As Attorney Ruggiero pointed out, they already recused themselves from the election board. That was nice of them. The law says they had to be. I was reading Corey O'Brien's comments about, well, I can't comment on Mr. Volpe's comments because, you know, I'm on the election board. As I said in the radio, I don't know what law school he went to, but if he checked the statute, the moment we filed our petitions, he was off the election board. Well, I'm glad they finally agreed. But it took Frank's motion and petition to get them to do what they should have done in the first place.